So what do you think would happen the next day? Let's say we discovered life. It's Proxima Centauri b. It's it looks just like slime mold, like you got on your brie cheese or whatever. We discover it. What would happen the next day? And they were like, "Oh, this would be transformative." And I'm not trying to be like total Cassandra about this, but I said I don't think anything would happen. And they're like, "What are you talking about? It would be transformational." I'm like, I stipulate that life exists. Go down to like the river. I'm in San Diego. Go down to the Pacific Ocean. Scoop up a glass.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna find life in there. And what are we doing? What are we doing to our Earth? We're destroying it callously. We're like pumping crap into there. Like we have this toxic waste spill a couple of months ago in San Diego. I couldn't go to the beach. Let me take it a step further. You know how many people, I'm sorry, that you do know, but how many people died in the 20th century? Killed. These are advanced civils. This isn't slime mold. We kill, we maim, we harm, we hurt, we hate. I don't think anything would happen the next day. Then we go back to what we had. And I said, if that weren't proof enough, life has been discovered at least 2 or 3 times just in my professional career. Once in 1996, these Allen Land Hills meteorites in Antarctica, so like microbial respiration processes. Still, we don't know. It was a press conference held by Bill Clinton on the White House lawn that's featured in the movie Contact, repurposed for that movie. And then there's this this phosphorus life, this toxic life in the pools of Mono Lake. Many extremophile. We don't give a crap. We continue to so why are we thinking that like from whence will our salvation come, as the Bible says? Like it's not going to change how we are. It's not going to magnify how I treat you or you treat me. And we're pretty knowledgeable people, you and I, compared to, lay people.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a really interesting argument. I wonder if you're right, but my intuition is I can maybe present a different argument that you can think about in the realm of things you care about even deeper, which is like what happens once we figure out the origins of the universe. Like, how would that change your life? I would say there are certain discoveries that even in their very idea will change the fabric of society. I tend to see if there's definitive proof that there's life, and the more complex, the more powerful that idea is elsewhere, that I'm not exactly sure how it will change society, because it's such a slap in the face. It's like such a humbling force, or maybe not, or maybe it's a motivator to say, I don't know which force would take over. Maybe it would be governments with military start to think like, well, how do we kill it? If there's a lot of life out there, how do we create the defense system?
How do we extract it, or
mine it for benefits? All those.
I just see like there's 100 million literal counterexamples of that. I mean, right now there's like 700 million kids in poverty, and like. How do we go about our life and just not deal with that? I mean, I put it aside. I eat hamburgers, and in 100 years I'll be canceled for being a carnivore or whatever. But, so obviously to get through life, you have to make certain compromise. You're not going to think about certain things. But I just think there is a sort of wish fulfillment. Like every time there's water, why are we going to Mars and digging and flying this cool ass helicopter? We're looking for water. Like stipulate that water was there. Like, I believe there was water. I think we should investigate and see what the geology was like.
But don't you think? So you're saying?
I don't think you're going to get meaning from it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not worth doing. I'm just saying there's a wish fulfillment aspect that people will find meaning for life from science.
Okay, but there's a complicated line here. What if it's this intelligent civilization living, obviously. Probably not on Mars, but somewhere like in a neighboring galaxy that we in a neighboring
star system
that we discover. Don't you think that had a profound change in meaning?
I mean, I guess again, I assume that because of this panspermic process or whatever, that the probability is much, much greater than 0. I mean, it's not 100%, but it's much likelier than not that at least some living material from Earth has ejaculated itself into the solar system, into the universe, right? Into our galaxy.
Beep that, please. As well.
That's right. So I like the fact that that could happen and that you're holding a piece, from a planetary body, one that couldn't support life as far as we know, but I could give next time if you play nice and you come on my podcast someday, I will give you a tiny chunk of Mars. So Mars theoretically could support stuff, right?
Moving on up.
So yeah, so I believe that there could be remnants of Earth in this. So that means there could be evolution. I don't think there's any chance that there's people using iPhones and having podcasts and stuff in Proxima Centauri.
There's some chance though, right? So
again, I think obviously the simple statement to say it's much, much, much higher probability that life exists than technological life exists, right? I don't think we can argue that. It doesn't mean it's forbidden. Again, I'm not saying any of this is forbidden, not worth studying, not interesting.
It's a likelihood thing.
Yeah, and to answer I think you're wise to push back and what does it matter what I'm doing? And I like to think about that. Because it's what is the value of what you're doing? You have to answer that question, or else at the end of your life, you'll have these existential, kind of crises, right? So when I think about who I am, part of my identity is answering and asking scientific questions.